It's working. There we go. We are now live. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody, here on this stream. I am your host, Kelsey. We are doing live streams for Less Than Secret, a cryptid anthology, which is now on Kickstarter. You can find it at tinyurl.com/less-than-secret. There's also a link in the YouTube doobly-doo down below. I say doobly-doo. But yeah, tinyurl.com/less-than-secret. We still have like 14 days left in the campaign. So jump on it while you still can. We've reached our initial goal. We're hitting stretch goals now. The more that we raise, the more books that we can print. And also the higher the page rate goes for each of the contributors. Yes, absolutely.
Pretty exciting.
It's absolutely exciting. Ben is in the comments. Hi, Ben.
Hi, Ben.
Yes, Ben is one of the organizers for the Less Than Secret Cryptid Anthology. How did you meet Ben, by the way? Let's just get that topic started.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Ben and Rainer are both the people running the anthology. Rainer was my classmate at the Center for Cartoon Studies, and Ben was sort of like an alumni who was around, which like I was definitely an alumni who was around for like the next level of people after me. But yeah, you know, it's a small town. You kind of get to know everybody, especially the people that are hanging out around the school.
Totally get it. That I was kind of the same way at there's this residential community at the college that I went to called the Arts Village. The implication is that the learning community is for people who are freshmen and sophomores, but you can stay in it if you are a junior or a senior. And I was labeled one of the I was actually given an award my final semester senior year of like most dedicated senior for the Arts Village.
Cool.
So I loved the community. What can I say? But like, I was definitely one of the seniors that stuck around the longest. So I feel you about like super alumni that just stuck around. What was it about the Center for Cartoon Studies that had you sticking around for as long as you did?
Well, I got a nice part-time job as the school librarian, and you know, it was kind of a sweet gig. I wasn't quite ready to give it up when I graduated, and you know, I liked being around like a community where other people were like doing art. It really motivated me to like do work. Otherwise, I can be very unmotivated. Okay, and I really never saw myself as like a small town person, but I ended up really liking the small town vibe so much, and I'm in more of a suburban area now, and I kind of miss it. I miss it a lot. Like, you know, they had
was it like super walkable?
Oh, very walkable. Yeah, there was just like the tiniest little, I mean, I lived in this like really annoying steep hill, but like other than that, it was very walkable. There was just like this kind of main road where there was like a bunch of little like shops and restaurants, and they're all kind of run by the same 3 or 4 people and worked by the same 3 or 4 people, and you know, it's a sort of like it's very Gilmore Girls. It's very Stars Hollow. So like I kind of like really vibed with that more than I thought I would.
Oh yeah, that's like at this university town that I went to. There was this kind of legendary Dairy Queen. It's legendary because it was run by the local business family that runs a lot of the restaurants. Like they mostly have like pizza parlors, but this is their one Dairy Queen that they have, and they largely do not adhere to the corporate rules for uniform or portion sizes or anything. So cool. Like you could order it's an absurd amount of chicken. Sorry, my roommate was like, that's an absurd amount of chicken.
Nice.
She and I would go there sometimes, not together, but we were part of the same learning community. So like, you know, Miles' Dairy Queen.
I do.
Miles' Dairy Queen is what it was. Because the family name was Miles. But like nobody wore like the standard uniform. They just came in casual wear. The fries containers were always overloaded with fries.
Ah, nice.
Oh, it was so nice. And the blizzards were always like borderline pouring out of the cup.
Oh, amazing.
It was amazing. Ben contributed, "That's an absurd amount of chicken," quote of the year. Slap that on the cover of Less Than Secret, an absurd amount of chicken.
I feel like Less Than Secret is more, that's an absurd chicken.
Spoilers for the next interview. That's Angela's cryptid.
Oh, yes.
No, you did your cryptid on the Jersey Devil. Is that right?
That's right. It was only after I turned it in that I realized that the words Jersey Devil are technically nowhere in my story, so I'm hoping everybody can figure it out.
Well, if nothing else, there's bonus content that's going in the back of the book, so where we post like the work in progress sketches and everything like that. So
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure
I'll put it in there somewhere.
Somewhere in there, yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, and the story he's referred to as both JD and Mr. Devil.
I think those are some good context clues that will point people in the right direction.
Show don't tell, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So what made you choose the Jersey Devil as the cryptid of choice for your short story, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, I picked mine because I'm from New Jersey, and you know, that's kind of our local guy.
Nice.
Just kind of felt right. Let's see, the Jersey Devil once got its own X-Files episode. Yeah, season 1, I believe. And they went in a different direction with it than I did. But like I never really knew much about the Jersey Devil beyond like lives in the Pine Barrens. And so I definitely had to do like a little bit of research. But beyond that, I kind of, you know, I felt like I had a few different ideas for a few different cryptids, but like each one was sort of like the cryptid sort of matched with a particular idea in my head. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, you know, themes of the concept of New Jersey to me is very like a lot of like big families, like a lot of Italians, a lot of like stuff like that. And really just sort of like, that's sort of the vibe that I wanted to like put the Jersey Devil into. Yeah.
We talked about in previous streams how every contributor's short story is so wildly different, but like in a good way. And I really like the vibe of yours because it's more like a slice of life, like family get together, kind of a gag sort of thing. But maybe not so much gag, but definitely more like a slice of life. So if you feel like, tell us a little bit more about like the story itself. You can spoil it, you cannot spoil it. Go into as much detail as you would like about it.
Okay, so it's the whole story is like a Christmas dinner that's happening in this big family, and the sort of like main character that you're following is this like really like awkward emo teenager. That, by the way, so I left the character's name as emo because our editor was like, that's what I had it in like the like rough draft because I hadn't named anyone yet. So like the other girl was like Fancy and like emo was emo. And then like our editor was like, you know, I know you plan to like change these names, but like I really kind of like so emo, how are you doing? And I was like, you know what? Like screw it. This character's name is emo now. That's it.
That definitely sounds like feedback that JD would give, though.
really messed me up that our editor's name is also JD. Because like when I saw like private message from JD with like his like very vague like picture on Discord, and I was just like, is the Jersey Devil not like my story?
Little do you know, JD was a cryptid the whole time.
That does sound about right.
Yep.
But
that's why we never see him on camera.
Yeah, exactly. So in this story, so emo is an awkward teenager who is also emo. And they're just trying to like navigate this like Christmas dinner with a bunch of people that are like related to them but maybe don't like get them. and sort of at some point, it's like, so people keep coming in, like, you know, aunts, uncles, stuff like that. And one aunt arrives with her new boyfriend, and the new boyfriend is the Jersey Devil. And the Jersey Devil only communicates by going, "Scree!" But, like, everyone just kind of goes with it, like, sort of like a Chewbacca feeling. I feel like that's where, like, a lot of the comedy comes from. I don't know, it, like, makes me laugh to, like, see somebody being like, "Oh, so the Devils are having a good season this year, huh? Scree!" You know? Yeah, so it's sort of like the sort of intertwining story of the Jersey Devil coming to his girlfriend's family for dinner, and how he ends up relating to this sort of awkward teenager.
Yeah. It's always the aunt that dates the cryptids.
Right.
It's the aunts with the unusual partners that, like, everybody in the family is like, oh, that loopy aunt.
I definitely kind of made her like the loopy aunt. Yeah.
That is marvelous.
Everybody's got one, you know. But it was very, like, I don't know, kind of based off of some personal experiences of being an emo teenager at family dinners.
Oh, I feel like that's a pretty universal teenager experience at some point, where you're just like, I just want to be left alone with my feelings. Why are you making me talk about my feelings? I don't want to talk about them. Not with you.
Exactly. Just like, let me listen to Linkin Park and leave me alone.
Exactly. Let me be awkward. Oh, Carlos contributed Uncle Cryptid coming soon to NBC.
I like it. 10 out of 10 would watch.
10 out of 10 would watch again. Ben says, my mom wants a copy of your Gilmore Girls fanzine, by the way.
I'm sure we can make that happen. I think I'll have to, like, reprint some new ones.
Yeah.
Because they do sell out. Yeah, so I don't know if you know this, Kelsey. But I would say in record time I managed to bring up Gilmore Girls on the stream, probably about like 2 minutes in. But, like, yeah, so I'm like a huge Gilmore Girls fan.
Geek out about it by all means.
So the Cartoon Studies Fellow of, I guess, like 2018 or 2019, Karen Katz, she and I put together a Gilmore Girls fanzine. We like edited it together, and we ended up getting like a lot of cartoonists from both CCS and like just other people like around the world. Some of them were Karen's friends from like all these other countries, and we also like met people at conventions and stuff. There's just like a lot of people who are willing to put in comics about Gilmore Girls.
Yeah. Well, you get enough nerds together who like a particular thing, they'll make a zine about anything. Like Carlos in the comments brought up SPX. The one year that I went, somebody put together a fanzine of Jeff Goldblum.
Nice.
It was great. Nice. So, like, not surprised that there's like a Gilmore Girls fanzine.
Yeah.
Where can people find the Gilmore Girls fanzine? Is it available online, or is this one of those things where you got to talk to you directly about it?
Well, I mean, perhaps it'll be available online in the future when I'm like better at setting up an online store. But I guess for now, it'll probably be at whatever convention I go to next time when conventions are back up. I think there are my comics from it in particular are up on my website, and there's also, it got reviewed by Rob Clow in Hilo Comics during his 30 days of CCS. He had nice things to say about it.
That's amazing.
A lot of the comics in it were me. I had a lot of things to say about Gilmore Girls.
That's fair. Like, I'm pretty sure that's just a fanzine thing where if you have the space, there will be tangents and rants.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. My 2 comics for it that were like multi-page were like, I had this like idea, that like to just like recreate scenes from the show, about Lane and her love of music, but like replace all of her like, you know, like deep cut music references with anime references, because like that's what I understand.
Yeah.
And I also did another comic about like a somewhat minor character, but like how like I always liked him, you know, like one of those types that's like sort of hopeless and has a crush on the main character. Like he has this huge crush on Rory, and it's never gonna happen because she only likes bad boys. But like I like nerds, and I was like, no, like you're really breaking you're breaking your relatability here, because I 100% would have dated that guy.
Yeah.
And so I did like a whole comic about him and how I felt that he was an underrated character.
That is marvelous. Actually, you talking about anime reminded me, when I took a look at your website and looked at some of your stuff, I know that you've said before that you've have been inspired by anime and manga. So like, what series was the series that you looked at and you were like, I want to be a cartoonist because of that?
Oh, that's a really good question. That's like a good interviewer question.
Yeah, well, I can think
Almost
of
like
mine, but I would like to ask you about yours.
Gosh, there's probably a few. So I guess less than one particular series. It's more like one artist.
Ooh, yeah.
And that artist was Clamp.
I know who you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah. I just love Clamp so much. Like, you know, I was first exposed to them, like a lot of people, through the American dub of Cardcaptors, a mystic adventure. But then I started reading the manga, and you know, like slowly as more manga came to the US, I kind of was like, oh, this is by the same people. It's Cardcaptor Sakura. I'm gonna keep reading all of these. Ranma 1/2, also a really big influence on me, I think. Really, like, I read it again somewhat recently, and the comedy really holds up. Like, it's really funny. Like,
it does. Strangely, I read the first like 2 volumes like last year or the year before, and I was like, oh wow! Even though this was like made in the 80s, the comedy still holds up. It's funny.
Yeah, it's just like something about like a lot of like physical comedy, but like in manga form, and like Rumiko Takahashi's comedic timing is really like on point.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, so definitely like my first real comic exposures were like a lot of Clamp series and Ranma 1/2.
Yep. For me, it was, I don't know how my little dinky middle of nowhere library got a copy of this, but it did. Gundam Wing Episode 0. I still don't know how they got their hands on it, but they had it's a standalone manga volume. Like it's pretty much like a prequel to the Gundam Wing anime series, and it's about like the childhoods of the like main characters. And I remember reading that and going, whoa, because up to that point, like all of the comics that I had seen were all newspaper things. And I was like, oh my gosh, you can tell a story that's longer than 6 panels.
Yeah, that's huge. I was just thinking about it now. Like in my teen years, I was really, really obsessed with the series X, like X 1999. It's a Clamp series, but like it's like the one that was like huge for me. I think everything was so apocalyptic and serious, and like the art was so beautiful. It was just like so much. I obsessed over it hugely in high school.
Yeah, I'd seen some of the art and I know it by name, but what's the story about?
So it's Clamp's very loose interpretation of the Book of Revelations.
Okay.
it's kind of just like, so there's these 7 good guys and there's 7 bad guys and they have fighty powers. And the 7 bad guys are like, humanity is a scourge upon this world. It's like, we are the true good guys because we want the earth to heal. And the 7 good guys are like, but please don't kill humanity though. So like, you know, they were fighting and I got really obsessed with some of the like romance plot lines that were happening at the same time. There's like such a good kind of like cold tsundere girl and like a really bubbly guy, and I was like obsessed with them. And of course, there's also like the very sort of contentious relationship between the head of the good guys and the head of the bad guys, and they were like childhood friends, and you know, maybe there's some feelings there, but also they have to kill each other, and you know, it was a whole thing.
Oh, that entire dynamic of like, we were once childhood friends, I know you're still there, why aren't you listening to me?
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about that.
That's marvelous. The only Clamp work that I've ever read front to back was what is it, Chobits. That's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I remember reading that and thinking at the time, oh, this is a neat concept. I will give Clamp that they have really neat concepps with their comics. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Are they terrible at endings? Yeah, but like their concepts are great.
Yeah. I think there are some series that like they haven't even like finished them. They just leave them open-ended, and they're just like, oh no, this one's on indefinite hiatus, and it's like you just don't want to admit that you don't know how it ends.
Yeah. I mean, at least with X, the anime has a good ending.
Okay, good.
The movie's kind of a everybody dies sort of type, but like the anime itself had a really satisfying ending, I thought. So I didn't really mind that that the manga was unfinished, because like I felt satisfied by the anime's ending.
Yeah, well, that could also be that just the nature of anime production schedules anyway. I'm thinking about Fullmetal Alchemist in particular.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, because like the first anime adaptation for it, like I think they got up to episode 28 and they were caught up with the manga by that point, the anime studio was, and they went to Arakawa and they were like, do you want us to like come up with some filler? And she was like, you know what, just make up your own story.
Yeah,
I have a direction that I want to go with this manga, but I don't want to rush it. And the anime studio was like, sweet. And then they just veered off into their own directions. And that's why the end of the first Fullmetal Alchemist anime is so wildly different from Brotherhood.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know anime production is such a strange thing.
It is a very strange thing. And it's even stranger when you take into account the manga production side of things and how manga production and anime production are like not just two different beasts, but they have like two wildly different schedules. Especially if you're dealing with like Shonen Jump. Because like, I know you lean more towards shoujo. I lean a lot more towards shonen.
I was definitely a huge shonen fan for a while also. Like I was really big into the Naruto Yu-Gi-Oh era of like Shonen Jump. Yeah.
That is her series.
I love Naruto.
I have like a like in terms of like favorite characters of all time, like one of my absolute tops is Rock Lee.
You know what?
I really live for Rock Lee.
You know what? I've only caught bits and pieces because Alex at one point was like rewatching the entire series in the living room while I was doing studio stuff. And anytime that I caught Rock Lee on TV, I was like, you go, dude.
He's just the best.
He is.
Like, oh my God. Everything about him. Just the best.
Unapologetically himself.
He is very unapologetically himself, is what Alex is saying.
Yeah, I love that. And I really love the very like wholesome teacher-student dynamic that he has with Guy Sensei, where it's just like, you know, like you're both very weird, but like you're so like great and you really like believe in each other, and it's really amazing. I love it.
110% into what it is that they believe.
Yeah,
and I love that. Lots of folks in the comments are resonating with that. They're just like, Rock Lee is the best.
Rock Lee is the best. Yeah, I've actually.
Rainer,
yes,
if I remember you showing the whole class at CCS, the Rock Lee versus Gara fight.
Yeah, because like, okay, so the reason for that. No, wait, we actually. Oh my god, that happened kind of twice. Okay. So I kind of remember that day. Like,
okay.
So in class, we had this assignment to show off like a moment in comics that was like we thought was like a really great, like, I don't know, like really just well done, right?
Yeah.
And there were a few things that I could think of, but the only one that I really had that I like owned that I could bring in physically was like Naruto Volume 10, the Rock Lee versus Gaara fight, because I just travel with a copy of that for reasons like
reasons are absolutely valid.
So that was like the fight that was like the thing that I'd showed as just like a great example of comics because it's so memorable. Like people who have like never seen Naruto know about the moment when Rock Lee took his weights off. Like it was just like it's a culturally iconic moment. And then after I explained it, people were like, "Hey, we're interested. Like we want to see that." And I was like, "Okay." Luckily, I know which episodes of the anime this is. So, do you guys want to stay after class and watch anime with me? And then we also just like watched the fight like after class. And I was just kind of like, I feel like I gave kind of a primer on like, this is the Chunin exams and this is how ninja stuff works. But like everything else, you can just kind of go.
Yeah. But it's like one of those fights that like you could probably watch it in isolation and outside of the story, and it's still a good story in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the general vibe that I got from the bits and pieces that I saw of Naruto, is that the fights can be seen like separate from the rest of the show, and they can still stand up as their own like narrative arcs, which you know what? Kudos to the creator for being able to write fights like that, because not everybody can handle that.
Absolutely.
Kishimoto. Is his name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely what makes Kishimoto such a good like manga artist, like those if like good fights are like the backbone of a lot of shonen anime. So
well, that's like the central core tenet of shonen is I fight to protect my friends. Pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah. And because I find a way to wiggle this into every conversation that I'm a part of, Dragon Ball Z.
Of course.
I love the manga for it a bit more than the anime, because the manga, oh my god, Akira Toriyama's page layouts are amazing. Like he just has such an eye for composing a page to make the eyes go across it and still keep track of the action.
That is so important in a fighting manga.
It's so smooth. It's just like, how? It's like you can tell by the way that like it's like how the energy beams move across the page, or how the punches are illustrated across the page, or like the panel that always gets me is there are some characters that he draws that have tails, and anytime that he like draws the tail, the movement of the tail in the panel leads to the next panel. Ooh. And it's like, what? Brilliant. How are you doing this, Toriyama, you madman?
That is brilliant.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. And the way that he does like narrative hooks, it's like there's a reason why a lot of wrestling fans really love like Toriyama's Dragon Ball Z, the manga, because like it is paced like a wrestling match, and like the way the pages are is like there's a fight, and then like on this page before you turn to the next one, it's like, oh no, is he about to break his back? Oh no, everybody's so tense. Turn the page.
Yeah. Oh wow, that makes me want to read the manga. I never did. I saw like all of like the whole original like Dragon Ball Z run on like Toonami, but I never really read it.
If you're going to start reading, I highly recommend you start with Dragon Ball first. It actually explains a lot of the weirder stuff of Dragon Ball Z.
I did see some of for a while they were showing the Dragon Ball anime too, so I've seen a little bit of it. I always loved Krillin, and seeing little baby Krillin was like, it's so cute.
Baby Krillin's the best. He's also the character that actually helped Dragon Ball actually be good. Because like before his introduction, the story is basically a beat for beat comedic retelling of like the first part of Journey to the West.
Right.
Yeah, which that's how it started. It's a parody of Journey to the West, which great, love it. But when Krillin gets introduced is when the series really starts to take off and go in its own direction. Yeah.
I feel like I was like I was like, you know, I don't know. I just really like loved Krillin when I was watching it because he was so short and he was just like a person and he was just trying his best.
Yeah, that's why everyone loves him. He tries his best. Like Krillin.
I'm sure he's died like 800 times, but he's like my favorite character.
Yep. Well, Krillin, best human. He does what he can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rainer comments, loved Naruto. Still sad that I really just couldn't get into the manga he did after Samurai 7 was eh.
You know what? I didn't really read the manga he did after that either.
I did not know that he kept doing manga after Naruto. So learned.
You know what? Like when you're that successful, I feel like anything that you do afterwards isn't going to be as good. You know, like I read a little bit of the manga that the Kuroko's basketball author did after Kuroko's basketball, and it was another like sports manga. And it was about golf, and like it was really missing something. No, like I mean, like I was totally into the like manga about golf idea. Like give me the weirdest sports, and I will be like very into them. But like, it was sort of missing like a certain flavor. Like the protagonist just wasn't interesting enough. Yeah. And maybe it got better over time, but like, you know, the first few chapters like definitely didn't catch me the way that like Kuroko's basketball does.
Yeah. Well, it could also depend on the series editor too, because a series editor can do a lot to change and shape a story. Like part of the reason why one of the antagonists in Dragon Ball Z even exists in the first place is because when Toriyama first released like Androids 19 and 20, the editor was like, wait, these are the bad guys that you've been building up to for 7 chapters? No, come up with new ones. This is an old geezer and a clown. Like, I know you can do better. And Toriyama was like, fine, but he's really good at pulling stories out of his butt. So he was like, okay, how about these two? And he shows off 17 and 18. And
oh my God, they were like my favorites.
Yeah, they were some of my favorites. And then the editor was like, now you just have a couple of brats. What's going on? Like, come up with something else. And so he comes up with Cell. And then a new series editor comes in, and the new series editor looked at Cell and went, this guy's too creepy. And it's like, and I could just imagine Toriyama's frustration because, like,
you're just like,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, every artist has dealt with like an editor who's been like, no, do it again. No, do it again. Or like a commissioner who was like, I don't like how this looks or something. Yeah. Thankfully, JD, our editor for Less Than Secret, was, at least he didn't do that to me.
Good callback. I got, I feel like we're really sort of like allowed to do our own thing, you know, with this, like, I feel like I got sort of, I feel like my feedback was just sort of like, make sure it doesn't get too blah, or like, you know, I see that this story could go in a direction that's sort of like this. If you do that, then I hope you do it this way, you know? Yeah. That kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, his feedback has been so helpful. Like, I knew how my story was going to like pace beginning, middle, and end, but there were a couple of points where I was like, how am I going to handle this page? And that he came in really handy for that. He gave me the feedback that I needed to like make that page a lot better.
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah. Like, get y'all, if you ever want to run a comics anthology, get yourselves a JD. Like he's like the best editor that I've ever worked with. The best comics editor anyway, because I'm working with another editor on a prose book.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I could I could talk about that one, but we're talking about you. We're talking about your stories. I'm just gonna check the comments really fast, see if there's
Go for it.
Yeah. A bit of conversation about the Samurai 7 anime. Oh, yeah, that actually reminds me. There was a series that Hiromu Arakawa did after Fullmetal Alchemist.
Silver Spoon, right?
I think it was Silver Spoon. She did a couple of comics, actually, because she also did the art for the heroic legend of Arslan.
Ah, yes, right.
Yeah, which I need to catch up on that. I'm so behind.
I haven't seen it, but my boyfriend has an anime review podcast that he's on, and they did a while ago. They did an episode on the heroic legend of Arslan, so that's all my knowledge of it.
Yeah, what is your boyfriend's podcast? Give it a shout out.
So they're called the Con Artists, like convention con.
Yeah.
So it's called the Con Artists podcast. I did their podcast art, of course.
Nice.
Yeah, they sort of they have like a site, a blog where they kind of like pick one show to review per season and then review every single episode of it.
Oh. Yeah.
And then other than that, they also do like a podcast at the end of season to talk about the show that they picked, and they do a second podcast at the end of every season to talk about everything else that they watched.
Nice.
So that way, if they ended up picking a show that like none of them liked, they still get to talk about the other shows that they watched that they did like.
Oh, good. That's a good call, actually, because like anime is one of those things that, because it encompasses so many different genres and tastes, that like you never know what series you start watching and you get into it and you're like, oh no, you know?
Oh my god. Like, okay, in fall, we were watching, so like their review show was the show that looked really good from episode 1. They kind of pick after episode 1 of everything kind of comes out. And the show that they picked based off of episode 1 was Wandering Witch: The Journey of Elena. And I can pretty much tell you that episode 1 was great. I had minor qualms with it that like turned out to just be the tiny cracks in a wall that was like crumbling very soon afterwards. Now, of course, disclaimer, if there's anybody watching that really liked that show, that's fine for you, but oh my god, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse with every episode. Like the show, they were kind of trying to do like sort of an anthology, like a journey story, but like, you know, standalone episodes with the same protagonist. But the protagonist was like kind of annoying. And I like stuck-up girl protagonists, and I didn't like her.
That's saying something about the character.
Like, exactly. Like, and like she was just kind of, she always seemed bored by the adventures that she was going on, but like we're not supposed to be bored as the viewer. And also like they would go like screwball comedy one episode and like Shakespearean tragedy the next, and it was just kind of like, what are you doing? Oh no.
It's a show that doesn't know its own tone. Those are the worst.
Yeah. But like at the same time we were watching such amazing other things. I picked an amazing show to watch that season called Hypnosis Mic Division Rap Battle Rhyme Anima.
Oh wow, that's a long title.
Yeah. So, okay, it's just about these teams of hot anime boys that rap, and
of course
they do rap battles like against each other, but they also like rap battle to solve crime. So like the premise was very like in a world where all weapons have been replaced with world-altering microphones.
Oh my god.
It's sort of like there are no weapons, there is only like Kaiba's dual disc system, but like instead of like card games, like it was rap battles, and like all disputes are settled through rap battles.
Oh my god.
and all the rap battles have like world altering like things, like, you know, oh, like if your rap is really good, then like a tiger will come out and like beat up your opponent.
Oh my god.
And it was like so amazing and stupid, and I loved it. Like it was very like turn your brain off and enjoy it. And it was like so great.
Oh my gosh, that is so great. Oh, it's like a world full of bards.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. So basically, you know, sometimes you have to talk about bad anime, but then you can also get to like tell the world about Hypnosis Mike.
Ben says, I think I found the blog just mentioned, theconartistblog.com. There we go. I'll leave that up for folks who want to check out a podcast all about anime and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a heck of a shout out. Thank you, Ben. Hey. Oh gosh. I'm trying to think of like anime that there was one anime that I remember watching the first season of. Second season's kind of meh, but first season of it was pretty great. It's an anime called Those Who Hunt Elves.
Oh, I've heard of that. I haven't seen it though.
Yeah. The premise of it is that there are three people who are pulled from like, you know, our everyday world and dropped into this fantasy land, and the reason they got pulled was because there was a elf woman who was reciting a spell, and she fudged up the words, and she brought these three people into the fantasy world, and before she could finish the spell to fix it, she messed up the words again, and parts of the spell like broke off and scattered like Dragon Balls across the planet.
Oh no.
And they are hidden on the bodies of elf girls. And so the premise, of course it is. And also because the spell heavily backfired, the elf woman who cast the spell in the first place gets turned into this like basically a plush mascot with that actually moves. I don't know what kind of animal she's supposed to be based on. It's just a fantasy creature.
Right. Like a Makona.
Yeah, like a Makona. But like, yeah, she gets transformed into that. And so in order to get her back to normal so that she can try the spell again and send these people back to their home, they have to hunt down the elves who got the spell parts and then strip them to find the spell that's hidden on their body.
Uh-huh. Well, that's anime for you.
That's anime for you. And of course, they don't have to strip fully naked because it ends up on like a totally visible part of the body, like their face or their arm or their foot, right, or, you know, something. Like they don't have to be stripped completely naked, but it just happens more often than not. But it's still like, it's a screwball comedy. There's like character humor, slapstick, and all this other stuff. And it's not as problematic as you think it could get.
I mean, like I said, you know, one of my biggest influences was Ranma 1/2, right? Yeah. Like I don't mind like a fan service heavy comedy as long as the comedy is good enough.
Yeah. And Those Who Hunt Elves is definitely in that vein of like, we know that this could go wrong, but this is a comedy and we are not going to treat it like that. They're like very much like a consent please. Like they ask the ladies, can we strip you? And usually they're like, no, why?
Eek, pervert.
Yeah, but at least they ask. So it's like, it's a step in the right direction. Half the time they end up not having to strip them anyway. So it's fine. Like I said, the spell parts are usually found on like super obvious places on the body. Yeah, but I still recommend it because it is very funny.
It sounds like it could be a good time.
Yeah. Also watch the dub, because that was how I watched it, and the dub is just it makes it so much funnier, in my opinion. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like other movies that were made funnier because of the dubs. Like
there's so many.
So many. Promare is actually one of them.
Really?
Yeah. Like in a good way though. Like there's actually like a couple of like there was a beginning special because what Promare did was they had 2 like 10-minute specials made before the movie properly starts. One takes place from the perspective of Gallo, one of the main characters. The other one takes place from the perspective of Leo.
Makes sense.
Leo's is more spoilerific. So most people, when they watch the shorts, they watch the Gallo one. But the Leo one actually has some jokes that you can tell the voice actors added in there. And then the editing staff was like, nah, we're going to leave that in. Because like Matthew Mercer voices one of the like people that you think is the antagonist, but it turns out he's not the bad guy. But he does the voice of one of the guys who like sets things on fire, and he's like, have you ever seen Burning Man? And if you know anything about Matthew Mercer, it's like, man, I'm not surprised you made that joke.
Right. I've mostly been watching subbed anime, but like I keep seeing clips of like dub highlights of stuff online. Like last season, I really enjoyed Skate the Infinity. And I saw a clip online of the main antagonist just saying, "What's up, bitches and bros and non-binary hoes?" And I'm like, the voice actor just added that.
I'm so glad they added non-binary hoes, though. That's delightful. Ben mentions in the comments, Ghost Stories, if you can deal with incredibly politically incorrect humor, has a deliberately more comedic dub.
That's very true.
It is, yeah. Which is funny because the original series is not a comedy at all.
Like I like how, like I feel like there was a very common thing like around that era of just like, I mean, Ghost Stories is like the most obvious example because that one's like, we are specifically making this funny. But there was just like a lot of really random jokes thrown into like kids shows. Like if I was gonna rewatch Digimon, I would only rewatch the dub.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Or like there's a lot of jokes in like Yu-Gi-Oh! And like other like card game shows and like other things for kids. Cause I guess like they were just like, well, we're just, let's just make it funny. Let's just put in some more gags, some puns.
Yeah.
Use this frying pan as a drying pan. Like it's the classic, like the terrible Brock joke.
Oh man. Yep. Totally. I fell off of Pokemon a while back, but like I can still remember a lot of the terrible jokes from like seasons 1 and 2. Oh
yeah.
Yeah. It's just they're just after a point. I bet they're just like for kids. Why not?
Exactly. I know. I actually like. Okay, there's one that I really remember because it was about Gilmore Girls. That like I was watching this show. Duel Masters. It was sort of like like Yu-Gi-Oh, but not Yu-Gi-Oh,
Okay, yeah.
And the dub was on like Cartoon Network or something. And there was like a moment, there were like a lot of really funny gags in there. Like they had like one of those like anime moments where somebody was like, ding, right?
Yeah.
And like they had their mind be like, the teeth whitener is really working for me. Or like the one that like stuck out to me was that like these two guys are playing a card game against each other. And one of them's like, can you take your turn already? I want to be home in time for Gilmore Girls.
That's amazing. I was also hoping you would find a way to work Gilmore Girls into the conversation somehow.
And then the other guy's like, well, I know how you love that Rory, so I'll play this in defense mode. And I was like, is this happening? Is this really happening?
The important thing to remember is that the folks who do anime dubs are themselves nerds.
Right.
They will find a way to work in anything. Like, oh man, I found out in a different interview podcast, Talkin' Tunes with Rob Paulson. It no longer has new episodes. They wrapped it up, I think last year or the year before, but they would regularly interview voice actors on the show. And one of them was actually the voice of Goku.
Cool.
Yeah, apparently he got his start doing Popeye impressions at Six Flags.
Wow.
Yeah, because like he was actually like part of the marching band that would perform at Six Flags, but they were like, "Hey, we need a cartoon mascot voice to do announcements on the PA system." And he was like, "Well, I got a pretty good Popeye impression," and he actually did it on the show. And it's like, "Oh wow, that's remarkably spot on."
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, did not expect it from the guy who does the voice of somebody who's like, "I would like to order all of the pizzas."
Right.
But like it's pretty cool. Circling back to the comics and Less Than Secret and things like that. So
That thing
we've been talking about anime and manga and things like that. And I know that Clip Studio Paint is a program that a lot of like manga or manga adjacent artists use. Is that what you used to make your short story?
It is. I kind of do half and half with my work being either fully traditional or fully in Clip Studio Paint. And so for this one, I did it fully in Clip Studio. A lot of that's kind of what I tend to do for like multi-page projects. Because their page manager is so good.
I haven't tried their page manager yet, but it looks pretty easy.
Yeah, like you just like when you're making your file, you it takes a little while to get used to their like template settings and everything like that, but like you can input like the paper size, like the bleed size, how big you want your margins to be, how many pages there are, and whether the first page is a left page or a right page, so you can kind of preview your spreads also.
That's amazing.
And it's just like it's really really helpful to just be able to kind of see everything at once.
Yeah. Are you able to, once you get all of these pages made, are you able to export like one page at a time, or does it export as like one cohesive file, or can you do either or?
Either or, I think. Yeah, like they have like a batch export function, so you can just export like all of your pages at once. And they'll just, you'll make a new folder for it. And they'll all be there. They'll all be exported at the same time. Obviously you can also like regular export if you only need one page, but it's very fast,
Nice. Oh man, I have to give that a try. There's always like new things about Clip Studio Paint that I'm finding out. Like it wasn't until like last year that I discovered the horizontal flip and the vertical flip tools, and I'm like, where has this been all my life?
Totally. Yeah, I've been using Clip Studio for a long time, like since it was called Manga Studio. And yeah, I guess I've always really liked it. Their screen tone function is pretty easy. And they have like there's like whole like libraries of screen tones that you can use. I mainly kind of stick to the basics because I haven't gotten that deep down that particular rabbit hole yet. But if you just want to like have like a couple different gray tones, it's really simple to do.
Okay, that's good to know, because I've been wanting to play around with the screen tone functions a bit. I just have been a little intimidated by it because screen tones can be overwhelming.
True, yeah. Yeah, it works like a layer mask, basically. And yeah, it's really simple to use. But like, yeah, like, oh my god, deciding where to put screen tones in is like such a like long-term struggle for me, like in school, was sort of like, I don't know, like finding my particular style in using screen tones. Even just deciding like the black, white, gray balance of a page. I spent like a lot of time really like figuring out how that would work. Like in art school, like it was like it was a whole thing for me, I guess. There was a journey.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things that like I feel like it's a finesse thing. Like the more you experiment with it and the more you try it out, the better of an eye you get for it. But it's really just a matter of practice, much like anything else art related.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like line weights or yeah, line weights are an entirely they're an entire conversation of their own.
Honestly, I bet we're gonna get the books for Less Than Secret out, and I'm gonna be like, my lines are so thick, you know.
I can't wait to see how the tones turn out for the book proofs, though. I'm definitely interested to see how mine turn out because I did not do screen tones for mine. I just went like pure full color grays or color grays. But like it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Yeah. But as far as like Less Than Secret goes, Ben mentioned in the comments earlier, it's way far in the chat, but he mentioned there's 10 days left.
Did he say 10 or did he say 14?
I had said a different number, but Ben corrected me.
Oh, then he corrected you? Okay.
He corrected me, yes.
So it was 10 then. I remember you saying 14. 10.
Yeah, we have 10 days. We have 10 days for the Kickstarter. And there's a couple of commission slots snatched, but a lot of commission slots are still available. Are you one of the artists who is offering to do commissions of any sort?
I am actually not, just because I knew I wouldn't have time for it, and I really wanna save my commission slots for when I know I can really put my all into it.
Oh, fair enough. I feel that. Yeah. Well, with the way that everything's going for me anyway, I'll have a lot more time to work on commissions, like in May in particular. So I was not afraid to offer that, which, by the way, folks, not to sabotage, but I do have commission slots available. tinyurl.com/lessthansecret. More info there. There's also a QR code in the upper corner of the screen. But there's like 7 short stories for this anthology altogether. And yours is about the Jersey Devil. That at a like Christmas dinner with and like getting along with the emo kid. Borrow your mask real quick. Yes, you can borrow my mask really quick. Sorry, my roommate is fetching something. But there's also stories about the Mothman. There's the Fresno Nightcrawler. There's the Chupacabra. And then there's also a German cryptid, which we will be talking about in the next live stream with Angela Boyle.
Yes. I'm not going to try to pronounce that one. I'll leave that to Angela.
I will leave that to Angela, too, because I don't know how to pronounce it either. And I took German for like a semester, and I still don't know how to pronounce it. It's fun, though, at least. Sorry, we had a Instacart runner.
Nice.
Get us some stuff super fast.
Some snacks.
Yes, snacks, food, donuts, all the things. Always donuts. We are firm believers of the donut in this house.
Absolutely.
Yep. No problem. Okay. Sorry about the distraction there. But let's see. We're at the 1 hour mark. Do we want to call it there?
I think so. I think that's probably a good idea. I'm out of snacks.
Yep, and I'm gonna need to get some lunch soon too.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for being on the stream today. For folks who are interested in Jess's short story about the Jersey Devil, check out tinyurl.com/lessthansecret. Hers is one of 7 short stories for Less Than Secret, a cryptid anthology, which still has 10 days left on Kickstarter, by the way. We've all worked really hard to get these stories like polished and great, and they're all awesome and fun to read, and I hope that you back the book to help not only make it a reality, but to print up as many books as we can, so that when we are able to gather together safely for convention scenes again, we can have them available for folks at those shows.
Oh, yes, I'm really looking forward to being able to sell some in person.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to that too. I didn't think that I would miss conventions, but I kind of do.
Oh, I love conventions. I absolutely love going to them as an attendee. I love going to them as a tabling person. I love them. what a rush. So
Yeah.
I've really been missing them. So I'm absolutely gonna jump right back in when we can do that.
Heck yeah. But when I do jump back into them, totally wearing masks.
Yeah.
Like,
Honestly, yeah.
I am done with con crud.
Me too.
I can live without it for the rest of my life, so I will mask up as many times as it takes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Ben announced, currently we are at 4,720 for the Kickstarter. Our next stretch goal is at 5,000. Can you
That
help
is
us with
really
it?
cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. We're like 200.
I'm so excited about how well this has gone.
I know.
Great job, everybody.
We were fully funded in the first 5 hours, which was holy banana pants.
It was
y'all.
nuts.
It bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But I love it. I love it so much. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you all so much for the support. If you are broke, please spread the word.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here and watching, everybody in the comments section.
Yes, absolutely. Share the link far and wide with the hashtag #LessThanSecret. We also have coloring contests and draw this in your style challenges. Those are on the updates for the Kickstarter, tinyrurl.com/LessThanSecret. Check the updates section. We have more details about that there. I think that is it for now. Where would you like to be found online?
I am at skywhalecomics.com and also on Instagram at skywhalecomics. I post semi-regular sketches and diary comics.
Nice.
And they are either nerdy or cute, or often both. And that's where you can find me.
Marvelous. Sorry, I didn't mean to shush you. My cat Breber was scratching the walls. She does that when she wants cuddles.
Understandable.
Yeah, I mean, how else is she going to get my attention? She could just jump up in my lap, but no, scratch the walls.
Yeah.
That's just how cats are. All right. The links are also in the doobly-doo for folks who are interested. So check it out in the doobly-doo/description on YouTube and on Facebook. If you're watching this on Twitch, just head on over to kelseydcrawford.com. More info is there. I'm just going to showcase the Kickstarter link one more time. Tune in Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern dated time for the next creator interview with Angela Boyle. We do these streams every Thursday and Saturday with a different contributor for Less Than Secret. All right. Any other things you would like to add for a sign-off before we go?
Wow, now my brain is like, say every sign-off from every podcast that you've ever heard.
There's absolutely no pressure.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you Guy Sensei's motto. As long as you believe, youth never dies.
I love it.
That's something.
There we go. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. You are awesome.